Welcome to Business Reporter's Internet of Things campaign, hosted by The Telegraph Online. I'm Rachel Hicks. Fierce market competition, challenging economic and political environment, tougher regulations, all organisations and businesses are under pressure. Efficiency is the holy grail of the boardrooms as they need to reduce the maintenance costs and the energy consumption and automate processes. During the recent years, a few fresh technologies have become available, including the Internet of Things. We're promised that IoT can truly change the game. How? This is what we're trying to find out from Jaume Ray, CEO and founder of Nexiona. Jaume, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, you're here to talk to us about the Internet of Things, but I'd like to know, what is it good for?
Internet of Things allow us to know more about what's going on with anything that has interest for us. I mean, if we are able to know remotely what's happening with our machines in a factory, or what's happening with our elevators in a building, or we can know if there is enough parking space in an area of a city, or we can know how long it will take a bus to reach the bus station. So really, Internet of Things give us the opportunity to remotely know what's happening with something, with a machine, with an equipment, that for us it's interesting to know about it.
So we've talked about the advantages that technology can bring, but what are the non-technology challenges that you face as an IoT expert when you're working on a project?
First of all, it's the lack of, let's say, business outcomes, clear business targets. When a manufacturer, or when a factory, or when a producer, or when a service supplier decides to connect things, it's critical that they need to know why they want to do that. And because it's a business, it has to bring a business outcome. So it means either reducing cost or improving your sales, bringing new services, or changing your business model. So really having in mind a clear picture of what you want to do and what do you expect to happen and how this will impact your profit and loss statements, your balance sheet, and all these things, it's critical. And the second one is security. Security is one of the things people is more concerned about nowadays when talk about Internet of Things. And definitely this is one of the main questions people ask every time we start a project is, okay, everything is fine, but what about security? And this is definitely one of the aspects we have to pay, all of us, more attention, even in the consumer business or even in the, let's say, professional environment. That's why you have to really have appropriate people in your organization or in your environment that is able to tackle with all these situations.
Okay, so security and business outcomes are crucial. Are these some of the important things that we need to consider if we're setting up a network, and are there other things we need to bear in mind?
Yeah, I mean, when we define a project, once the targets are clear and we know how to secure everything, there is several technological steps you have to really pay attention to. One is hardware, so you have to have knowledge about hardware, which is the right hardware to connect right machines, because not every machine can be connected with the same hardware. So you need something very specific. Another element is what we call firmware. Firmware is the software that runs inside of this hardware. Keep in mind that this hardware that connect machines sometimes is very small. So it's not a very powerful PC, so you cannot use a regular software. So you need to have experts in doing the right software in a very small piece to run in a very small piece of hardware. Telecommunications. Data have to go from wherever the machine is to your servers, to your headquarters. How is going to happen that? 3G, 4G, Narrowband IoT, Sigfox, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, I don't know. There is many different opportunities. Let's say regular IT, so applications, what regular is done, creating applications for mobile, for tablets, for servers, for PCs, and how is this consumed. And finally, the business intelligence, because it's not just about collecting data. It's okay, and then what do we do with the data? So you need to have knowledge about which are the right tools to analyze data and go deep enough in every case based on the requirements of every customer. There is a big variety of technologies and things to know to create a solution for IoT.
And so surely you have to be an expert. And we're in the middle of an IoT gold rush. Are there enough experts out there?
No, and that's the main challenge. That's the main problem we have nowadays in the Internet of Things. If you approach to an IT expert, an IT company, the traditional IT companies of this world, and all of us have names in our head now, they are experts in getting the data once it's in a database and then doing things with it. That's fine. But if you ask them, okay, but you need to connect a fridge. So you have to put a sensor in the fridge and then decide which is the right gateway, the right hardware to send the data to the server. They say, no, we don't do these things because they live in the virtual world, in the world of data. Then if you go to an expert in hardware, what we call OT, operational technologies experts, they know which are the right hardware and the right sensors to collect data from a machine. They also know how to do some data analytics there. But don't ask them about cybersecurity, about cloud solutions, about business intelligence, because it's not their area of expertise. So that's the main challenge. IoT, it's mixing these two worlds, IT and OT. And there's very, very, very few companies out there who are nowadays able to offer these both solutions. That's why IoT projects are so challenging for 90% of the companies out there.
And IoT projects offer us great promises that we will have better analytics, that we will better understand our machinery. But what do we really learn from the Internet of Things?
We have to keep in mind that in the professional world, machines have been connected somehow in the past. But what Internet of Things is really changing, and that's why it's becoming so popular and it's such a high hype about this technology, it's because now you can do all these things remotely. If you're a manufacturer of a certain kind of machines and you deliver these machines to a customer in an area of the world that you don't have an office, you don't have service people locally, now you can offer to your customers certain level of service because now you are remotely connected. You can know what's going on. You can send them the right spare parts. You can even help them remotely to fix the machine to one trainee you have in that specific location in the world. So the internet part of the Internet of Things word or sentence, so what makes really different and bring us a radically new approach is the internet part. So now we are able to connect things through internet, means fast, real-time, and affordably.
It sounds as though we are moving from IoT to big data, and we've talked about the amount of data that we're collecting and the variety and the size of it and the way it can benefit us. But can you give us an example about how this tsunami of data can benefit an organisation? I imagine to start with, it needs to know how to use it effectively.
Yes. Imagine for a second that we would be able to create a pattern of your machine, of the behavior of your machine, okay? So when certain thing happens in your machine, what is expected to happen is this, 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 this. So then you make a pattern, okay, and you are collecting data constantly. The main difference between using a lot of data and make your system learn versus nowadays is that nowadays you can basically manage alarms. Something goes wrong, there is an alarm, then everybody has to run. If we inform our system and we teach our system with the amount of data and a lot of data constantly, we can create, as I said, a pattern of how our machine behaves. At the moment the data we collect move out far away from the pattern, we know that the machine is not working well. Then we can do something about it. We don't need to wait that an alarm appears because it gets broken. You know, it's like, actually it's what we do with human beings nowadays. If you are at home and you don't feel well and you have headache, something goes wrong. And now if you have fever, you say, hey, something is really going wrong. You don't need to have a heart attack and die Because if you know that, hey, I have headache, I have fever, I don't feel well, then you go to the hospital. Basically, we are doing the same. So we know that when things are out of the pattern, which is we should have 37 degrees, we should feel well, our bit rate should be in that space or in that amount of bit rate. If we move out of this, then we know that we are not feeling well, and then we go to the hospital. We do the same with the machines. With all this data they bring to us, we create a pattern, and then when the data is out of the pattern, because it has fever, then we go to the hospital. Means we send a technician and we fix it.
The promise is huge and very exciting. I have to say you paint a very compelling picture. But many of us in business have a love-hate relationship with technology, and we don't want everything connected. We fear it as well as not understanding it. So how do you go about changing our minds?
Fear is something very deep in the mind of people. And the only way to reduce fear is with sharing examples, seeing people that connecting things, nothing happens and everything is fine. So, it's like when you go to the beach and you see some people jumping from a cliff to the water and, nothing happens and they are, having fun. Well, if you see people jumping, then maybe you also will jump. That's exactly the same. The more we share examples, making people understand that connecting things is safe, connecting things makes your life easier and better, you can save money or you can make more business, that definitely will help people to reduce their fear. But one of the key elements here is, especially in the consumer world, is you have to connect those things that has sense for you to be connected. So it's not about connecting everything. Connect those things that you want to connect, and don't connect those that you don't want to connect, because you think that threats your privacy. The beauty about IoT is that it gives us the chances to decide what I want to connect and what I don't want to get connected. And that's it. So choose, find which are the things that has sense for you, which are the really equipment that has opportunities to improve your company, your business, your cost, your sales, whatever. And then connect them and do something about it. But if you feel that it's a threat, don't do it. This is not, as every technology that has been successful, or every, let's say, important technology breakthrough that has been successful in the history of the human being, is the people who decides the speed, not the technology. The technology to make IoT happen is already there. But it's about the speed of human beings. So when we feel comfortable, then we do it. So that's why we propose always to customers, start small and then keep growing. When you feel comfortable with a pilot, then make a bigger deployment. When you feel comfortable with that, make more things about it. And when you feel more comfortable with that, then make more equipment to get connected. So it's about your own speed. And that's something that the Internet of Things professionals have to respect. The speed of our customers, not our speed.
So in that case, let's take an example. Let's look at a hospital. And if everything is connected and it works well, that's great. But what if something goes wrong? Does every device drag every other device down? And does the hospital stop functioning? And is there cause for concern?
Of course, and that will be a disaster. No, fortunately not. First of all, let's keep one thing in mind. Nowadays, in a hospital, everything is connected. The difference is that now the data is not getting out of the hospital, or is not getting out of an operation room, or is not getting out of a RX chamber, okay? The difference with Internet of Things, and that's why that shouldn't be a problem, is, first of all, give us the opportunity to keeping the things connected as they already are. Now we can see it from outside. So, for instance, the maintenance equipment of an RX machine manufacturer, they can know if an RX machine is working wrong before it damages people, because maybe it's giving too much exposure to RX. And so now the manufacturer of the machine can know it in advance. And maybe the technician who is making the RX pictures to the patients, for whatever the reason, is not aware. So now it can be something about it. A case like elevators. If we know that an elevator there is a strange vibration, we can know that maybe something goes wrong. And if the technicians of the maintenance technicians of the elevator manufacturer see that data, they can advise to the building manager saying, hey guys, this elevator, it works, but something's going wrong there before something really serious can happen. So that's the beauty of Internet of Things, and that's why we support it so much and we are devoted to it in our company, in Nexiona, is now we can help people to improve the way the products work, how to service the product, how to monitor and avoid accidents or avoid that the equipment have to be stopped for longer. So it's really about seeing the future and helping to improve the future in a way.
Okay, so you've told us how you help businesses, but what differentiates you and your company from other IoT experts?
As I mentioned before, when you look for an IoT supplier, you have to find people able or companies able to supply, or let's say, or to talk and advise you about the complete, let's say, technology stack. So hardware, firmware, telecom, applications management, cybersecurity, and cloud, and all these things. Nexiona, our company, it's a company that we are 100% only devoted to IoT business. We don't do anything else. So all our focus, all our efforts are about Internet of Things in the professional environment, in the enterprise environment. That means that because we have a lot of experience and we have done a lot of projects, we know that the only way to be successful is having experts inside of our company about these 5 fields. And obviously, we then look for partners, and what now it's called the ecosystem, the surrounding partners that helps you to supply the final solution. But you will find a partner who will supply you the hardware, another one that will be the supplier for the telecom transportation, obviously because we are not a telecom operator. So, you have to find the right partners, but you have to be able to define which are the right piece in every step. And that is what makes us quite unique. Another element that makes us quite unique is, we are extremely sensitive about security, because we know that people is one of their main headaches or their main concerns, let's call it that way. And our CTO, our Chief Technology Officer, is a former white hacker. He was working for banks to help them in security and to reduce the security holes they could have. And recently, on top of that, we have been certified by ISO with the ISO 27001. That probably means nothing, but actually means information security management processes. So we have a lot of processes in place to know how to deal with security, with the security of the information, and when something goes wrong, that it can happen, how to react and how to fix it quickly. So I think that basically these are the 2 things that make us quite unique as a company versus many of the others that are out there.
So the Internet of Things is clearly a huge subject that many of us, including me specifically, have a lot more to learn, and thank you for your insights today. But if we were starting a new project, what 3 key points do you think we should know before we start?
Okay. First, it's find a supplier, or let's say, the one who's going to take care of your project, the company who's going to take care of your project, that, as I said, it's able to provide you the solution completely, end-to-end. This is critical. I mean, if they are experts in one piece or in another, probably you will have problems in the project. So you need to have people who is able to be the architect of the solution, of the complete solution. Another one, as I mentioned, people who really knows about security, because otherwise things can go wrong very fast, okay? And this is really critical. And the third thing is, as we say to our customers, just do it. I mean, many people talk about IoT, but they are sometimes hesitating to start because they have concerns about security or concerns about any other aspect. So what we always say is, let's start. Let's start with something small. So let's do it. Let's start with something small, and then let's keep growing and growing at your speed, not at ours, at your speed. So I think that probably these are the 3 most important aspects I would keep in my mind if I have to start an IoT project nowadays.
That's been so helpful. Jaume, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rachel. It's been a pleasure.